And Tim, I got to say, most of the time it's less than they think.
Well, I was thinking as you were reading that, with inflation like it is, I mean, you and I just read something
yesterday. Especially with inflation like it is.
Well, inflation's, guys, we're about to enter into a time of, I'm going to take a side step here. So we're doing a Clubhouse probably about a month ago, and we're talking about inflation. And I'd done a little bit of research on essentially proving out that inflation was already in the marketplace, and things were, manufacturers do all kinds of different things to hide inflation. Don't worry, I'm not going to get too ahead of my skis here. But they'll essentially, for example, food manufacturers, which is where you're starting to see real inflation, is the cost of food. And what manufacturers will do so they don't have to dramatically increase prices is they actually change the product they're selling without telling you. They'll make the portions smaller. They'll make the boxes smaller. Those are the obvious things. But the other thing you're starting to see is they're actually changing the ingredients to basically not use real, sugar, for example. Real chocolate, guys, I don't know if you know this, but chocolate hasn't been real chocolate for ages. It actually made it so that I think it was probably about 10 years ago, they could stop using the actual ingredients that it took to make real chocolate and use substitute synthetic stuff or man-made, like corn syrup. Yeah, with a few exceptions, but
expensive ones.
The cost difference between real chocolate and this sort of mass-produced chocolate is, you can tell. You're going to go like, why the hell is this so expensive? Well, read the ingredients, and you'll see that one's fake and the other's not, and the fake is cheaper, right? Makes sense. But what you're starting to see is inflation sneak into everything. And we read something else. We shared this with you guys yesterday. And again, this is it's all making its way into future podcasts. But year over year, increases in real estate prices, okay, this is not a made-up number. We checked this a bunch of different sources, 17.2%. 17.2%. It was April of 2020 versus April of 2021. That's how much national real estate prices have increased. Adjust accordingly to your market. That is extraordinary.
Which also, by the way, adjust accordingly to your income, because you just got a 17.2% raise.
Assuming you're selling anything.
Assuming you're selling anything. But that is an important thing, because in a normal job, you wouldn't go asking your employer to give you a 17.2% raise. Mm-hmm. So that's one of the many blessings of real estate.
But back to the $5,000 thing. Most likely, when you do the real estate treasure map, that's one of the exercises we have you go through. Is figuring out exactly what your monthly cost of living is, which you mostly think but you'd be surprised when you actually got into the meat and potatoes of looking at the actual bills, what it was. And Julie already said it. Oftentimes, people think they have to earn more to cover all their bills than they actually do. It's very rarely does someone get surprised on the upside. It's usually on the downside. Or did I say that the backwards? I'm not sure. But I bet you in most cases, the average nut for most people listening, Julie, is no longer $5,000. It's more like $7,500.
Probably.
For the reasons of inflation and other costs.
If you actually count your Amazon bill, for example.
Yeah, exactly.
During COVID especially.
And then you're going to factor in rising taxes and your rising property taxes. I mean, you're going to get into some real increases. But like Julie said, fortunately, you're in a business that's already leading with a raise, right? Mm-hmm. So your true cost of living hasn't really been dramatically affected by inflation, but your paycheck, assuming you're transactional, has been dramatically affected because you've gotten a 17% increase in your commissions, roughly speaking, versus last year. So that's a good thing. Congratulations for choosing to be in a smart business during an inflationary time.
Indeed.
Is the takeaway.
Okay, so here's the last little bullet point that goes with that principle. Do your daily actions reflect your definiteness of purpose? And be honest about that. Part of what the treasure map does is it helps you create and follow your ideal schedule. What's an ideal schedule? A schedule that reflects your definiteness of purpose. So in other words, if you state that in order for you to have a significant lifestyle change, you need to be earning $15,000 per month, and you're averaging about a third of that your definiteness of purpose is to get to that $15,000 a month consistently. Are your daily actions showing that? Because if not, you're kind of out of alignment with that, and you're either not that serious about your definiteness of purpose, or you lack the skill set to get there, which we can help you with, of course.
Yeah. And by the way, your daily action plan or what the thing, generally speaking, most people are going to have fantastic days if they just successfully do only 3 to 5 things a day. And we will help you work through what those 3 to 5 things are. That's really, the drill down is, as far as real estate goes, your minimum standard should be generating, try to generate, set 1 listing appointment per day. I know that's a long, mentally, that's a big exercise for some of you, but this is where we work on you. This is the reason you sign up for coaching, is we work with you to get to the point where you can consistently do that. So ideally, we want you to proactively lead generate to the point where you're setting